Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and this morning I'm looking at a book from Routledge. It's in their series Unlocking the Law. They cover a whole range of substantive law issues, and this particular title is involving a discussion and a statement on the English legal system. There's a companion website to go with it, and it's now in a 4th edition, and it's been written by Rebecca Huxley-Binns and Jacqueline Martin. And Jacqueline Martin will be known probably to many of you for her excellent textbooks. My wife Elizabeth and I have had a look at the book, which I'll show you in a moment, and we've given it the title An Entirely New and Groundbreaking Style of Undergraduate Law Textbook for the English Legal System using interactive materials. And I'll explain what that means once we've had a look at the book. It's here. It's this one here. It's a paperback. It's quite glossy, so it's quite heavy. It runs to something approaching 360 pages. That's the front of it. I'll draw your attention to the little logo there about the companion website. That's the spine, and that's the back of the book. The back of the book also has the logo for the companion website, and there's also the actual web link itself. I'll explain a bit more about that in a moment. Let me show you the book. There's the index right at the back, so it's not too detailed. It is very much of a primer, this book, for people just starting. You've got lots of diagrams, for instance. You can see one at the end there. You've got a whole range of useful information. Let's have a look at chapter 11. That's on the judiciary. You've got aims and objectives set out, the paragraph numbering, which helps you find things with an introduction. Then there's a quotation. Then there's the role of the Lord Chancellor, always favourite subject for examiners in the past, about the role of the judiciary, the executive and the legislature. The Constitutional Reform Act, which changed things, in a little table. Then you've got the Supreme Court mentioned, and then you have an activity which is in the form of a self-test question to keep you going effectively with your knowledge. And you do have things like those diagrams to set you on the right road. What you've also got right at the end are more activities, which you can see there, and you've then got various tables, which you can see is all about the judiciary. And then what you've got at the end of that, you've got a sample exam question, key facts, which are also very important, again to help you with revision. And then right at the back of each chapter you have a summary. Then you have further reading, articles and internet links. That's basically how the chapters are structured. That's the front of the book there. Then you can see the various topics that are covered in this. It's a first book for undergraduates, basically. That's the first page of the contents. You've got a lot of contents there. There's the second bit, third bit, fourth bit. You see how it goes. The judiciary mention, which we looked at a few minutes ago. And the last chapter, in fact, is chapter 12 on sentencing, so there are effectively 12 topic areas. Read the guide to the book to get you an idea of how the book is actually structured and how you use it, and also look at the comments about the various activities you've got. And do read the preface from the two authors, which sets out what their purpose is in producing this work. There are loads of figures listed, so you've got the list, complete list there. Then you've got cases, and you've got statutes, which is FOS, and then we go straight into the book itself. There's not much about the companion website, but that will be easy to follow when you log into the web. Now that's the book. It's quite heavy, as I say, because it's a glossy. This is what we've said about it. As Rebecca Huxley-Binns and Jacqueline Martin say in the 4th edition to this excellent Unlocking the Series book on the English legal method and the English legal system from Routledge, they say English legal method and the English legal system are important as they underpin understanding of the development of practice of all substantive areas of law, and how right they are. You've got to understand how the structure of the system operates before you can start looking at criminal law, tort, contract and so forth. That's why it's the very first subject you should look at. Whether it's called the English legal system, which to some people is offensive, I don't know why quite, but the fact it's called the English legal system is obviously because it's been foisted on other people through the common law jurisdiction. Some people felt that was not quite the appropriate way, so they call it legal reasoning, or all sorts of other different words, just to get round what it really is, which is a study of how our legal system operates in England. Obviously judicial reasoning and the very basis of how we understand the way we go about common law reasoning is very much to do with the structure of our system and how the common law works. But what in fact the two authors have done is they've set out in this excellent textbook a formidable explanation of how the legal system works. It's in understandable terms, and I think it's actually very easy to follow, even though the subject is a little bit more complex than you might originally think. And as with all Routledge textbooks, this particular title I think is currently one of the best on the market for what is actually giving the student. You've got the textbook and the mix with the companion website, which is a new innovation in many ways, certainly nothing that I had when I did all these exams rather a long time ago. What you've got is the self-testing throughout, which I also think is a very great improvement, in that it will give you a measure of progress as you develop your study of the particular course. I think it's got a potential for a much wider readership as well, because of the nature of what they're trying to put forward. And we may well be in the public legal education era shortly, where hopefully people will have their legal obligations and rights explained in a bit more detail. We do have citizenship lectures at schools and so forth now, and there are current affairs matters, but I do feel that we may well be moving much more towards public legal education, and it's this sort of thing which will assist. One of the main reasons why I like Routledge is because it's outstanding value both in terms of cost, this isn't that expensive, and in terms of content, because you have really expert teachers here who are putting forward as legal authors the benefits of their knowledge, which is substantial. For both, therefore, tutors and students, I think a decision on which textbook's always going to be your own, but this is one of the areas where I do think at the moment they're actually the leaders, and that's really from feedback that I've received from students and of course other tutors. There's also the website, which is important, and I think the only way you're going to be able to handle that will be able to practice with it and see how it works as you get into the system itself. I like the format of Routledge as well, because it's very much part of the more modern approach to teaching. You've got learning outcomes, and the teaching process is looked at in a slightly different way, which is very much more what we're looking for at the moment with methods of legal reasoning and how people go about their legal studies as undergraduates. It certainly has helped us with the preparation of notes as well, and I'm sure lecturers will find this helpful. The Unlocking series as a whole is aimed really as an undergraduate primer, and it has a number of special features such as the aims and objectives at the start of each chapter, which you saw, key fact charts to consolidate knowledge, diagrams and to aid learning, summaries at the end of each chapter to check that you've understood what's happened, problem questions and guidance on answering, the self-testing and activities throughout, and a glossary of legal terms where necessary. For reviewing the book, of course, as I say, the companion website's an innovation, because this is very much an additional tool and one that I welcome, because I'm hoping that the modern students will be able to use and enhance all of the things that are available and then choose what they need for their final revision programs. There's much food for thought with this splendid primer, and it tells us where we're going effectively and how the legal system's developing in the 21st century. There are a lot of changes taking place, and many more next year with the general election and new programmes from whatever government is in power next May. I think we found it very helpful to see the extracts of academic content from journals, articles and so forth from leading texts, and they give an insight into the academic debate in some of the more complex areas and the controversial areas which you're going to be faced with. And of course, when you're doing an academic subject, you do need to raise the issues and then try to get a balanced approach with the answers. Let me conclude by saying that the book covers all the main topic areas that you need as an undergraduate, certainly for a first year course, and of course for a professional law syllabus as well. And I think it provides an understanding of each. The website is unlockingthelaw.co.uk. It's mentioned on the back of the book, and it will give you an indispensable foundation of understanding for the subject. Let me just remind you again of what it is. There's the front and there's the back. The website address is there, and just opening it up anywhere, here we go, the criminal procedure rules, right in the middle of the book. That's a nice little diagram showing how the criminal prosecution process works. You've got the criminal rules, which have now come in, and you've got the CPS, dealt with in some detail, public interest test, about why we prosecute, then the Glidewell report, a quotation, and then you've got a little activity. So just to give you just a particular flavour, just one word of warning, and that is that this subject area is changing. So whilst we've got the law as stated and being published in the spring of 2014, there are lots of changes taking place, so be as up to date as you can. Anyway, can I thank both Rebecca and Jacqueline very much indeed for an excellent contribution. Thank you to Routledge for bringing this new series in. Good luck with your exams too. I hope you enjoy the course of study. Bye bye.